In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and the edge of a vast, enchanted forest, there lived a beautiful girl named Oma. Her beauty was radiant yet humble, her skin glowed like the morning sun, and her eyes sparkled like the stars. But her beauty was not just external. Oma had a heart full of kindness, resilience, and a spirit that shone through even in the darkest times. Oma was the daughter of a prosperous farmer and his first wife, who passed away when Oma was just a baby. Her father, lonely and yearning for companionship, remarried a woman named Miri. Miri had 2 daughters, Adia and Sade, who were as vain and cruel as their mother. They despised Oma's natural beauty and gentle heart, for they believed it overshadowed their own. From the moment Miri became Oma's stepmother, the household changed. Miri treated Oma as a servant, forcing her to cook, clean, and tend to the animals while Adia and Sade spent their days preening and gossiping. Despite the cruelty she endured, Oma remained kind and diligent, never uttering a word of complaint. She often sought solace in the forest, where she would sing and share her thoughts with the trees, the birds, and the river that seemed to understand her sorrow. One day, a royal messenger arrived in the village, bearing an important proclamation. The Crown Prince Ike, the only son of the aging king, was seeking a bride. A grand festival was to be held at the palace, and all the maidens of the land were invited. The prince would choose his future queen from among them. The news spread like wildfire, and the village buzzed with excitement. Adia and Sade were particularly thrilled. "This is our chance to leave this wretched village and live in luxury," they exclaimed. They spent days preparing, sewing elaborate gowns and adorning themselves with jewelry. Miri spared no expense to ensure her daughters were ready to catch the prince's eye. Oma, too, dreamed of attending the festival, not because she sought the prince's hand, but because she longed to see the palace and witness the grandeur of the royal celebration. However, Miri scoffed at the idea. She sneered. "What would you wear? Do you think the prince would even look at a servant like you?" She forbade Oma from going and locked her in her small room on the day of the festival. As Oma wept in her room, a soft light filled the space. Startled, she looked up to see an elderly woman with a gentle smile and a walking stick adorned with tiny bells. "Do not cry, my child," the woman said. "I have come to help you." Oma wiped her tears and listened as the woman explained that she was a spirit of the forest who had been watching over her. "Your kindness and resilience have not gone unnoticed. Tonight, you shall attend the festival and show the world your true worth." With a wave of her hand, the woman transformed Oma's tattered clothes into a magnificent gown made of golden threads that shimmered like sunlight. On her feet appeared delicate slippers, and in her hair a crown of fresh flowers that seemed to bloom as she moved. A beautifully carved wooden staff appeared in Oma's hands. "This staff will guide you," the woman said. "But remember, you must return home before the midnight gong, for the magic will fade." Oma thanked the woman profusely and, with the help of the staff, was transported to the palace gates. The palace was a vision of splendor, filled with light, music, and laughter. Maidens from every corner of the kingdom danced and mingled, hoping to catch the prince's attention. When Oma entered, a hush fell over the room. Her beauty and grace were unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Even Adia and Sade, who were preoccupied with their own attempts to charm the prince, were struck with disbelief. The prince, tall and regal, was instantly captivated by Oma. He approached her with a smile and asked her to dance. As they moved gracefully across the floor, they spoke of dreams, values, and the love they both had for their people. The prince was enchanted not only by Oma's beauty but also by her intelligence and kind heart. Adia and Sade watched in envy, whispering to each other, "Who is she? How dare she steal our moment?" They resolved to find out. As the night wore on, Oma felt a tug in her heart, reminding her of the elderly woman's warning. The clock struck the first note of midnight, and she knew she had to leave. Without a word, she broke away from the prince and fled the palace. In her haste, she dropped the carved staff near the grand staircase. The prince called after her, but she disappeared into the night. When he reached the staff, he picked it up and vowed to find the mysterious maiden who had captured his heart. The next day, the prince issued a decree. Every maiden who had attended the festival was to present herself at the palace, where he would test the staff. The one who could wield its magic would be the one he sought. Adia and Sade, eager to prove themselves, went to the palace. They tried to use the staff, but it remained lifeless in their hands. Maiden after maiden failed, and the prince began to despair. Perhaps she will never return, he thought. Back at the village, Miri and her daughters returned home in a foul mood, angry that neither Adia nor Sade had been chosen. Oma, who had hidden her gown and slippers, went about her chores as usual, pretending to be indifferent. But when the prince's messengers arrived in the village, Miri panicked. She ordered Oma to stay hidden, fearing the truth might come to light. However, the elderly woman appeared again and urged Oma to present herself. "It is time," she said. Oma, wearing her simple clothes, walked to the village square, where the prince himself waited. When Oma took the staff, it glowed brightly, illuminating her true identity. The villagers gasped, and Adia and Sade shrieked in disbelief. The prince's eyes lit up with joy, and he knelt before Oma. "You are the one," he said. "Will you be my queen?" Oma accepted, and the prince took her to the palace, where they were married in a grand ceremony. Miri, Adia, and Sade were left to reflect on their cruelty, which had only brought them misery. As queen, Oma ruled with kindness and wisdom, ensuring that the kingdom prospered. She never forgot the elderly woman who had helped her and often returned to the forest to give thanks. Her story became a legend, inspiring generations to believe in the power of kindness, resilience, and the idea that true worth always shines through. And so, Oma, the chosen maiden, lived happily ever after.